what is the coaching style like with Holmgren? What did you take from him? Because eventually Holmgren gets hired at Green Bay. You had left, you went back to college, and then Holmgren hires you as a full-time assistant with the Green Bay Packers. And Ray Rhodes is there. You had Mariucci was there. You guys had an unbelievable staff. What were you learning from a coaching standpoint? Less about X's and O's, coach, more about how to handle people, how to develop players, and how to kind of create the right culture.
Well, Coach Holmgren, he had a great ability of taking things that were very complex and sophisticated and presenting it in a very simple, basic way so players could learn. New players coming in. Plus, he made things interesting for the guys that had heard the installation for 55 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could mix up his drills. He was a creative guy, 25 words or less, too. He wouldn't ramble on, right to the point. And he had a great ability, I think, of getting excited when he had to be excited. You know, I mean, he got ticked off. He wore his emotions on his sleeve. I loved that about him. And he was honest as he could be. And he always challenged me to accumulate knowledge. He'd walk down the hallway, he'd look in the room, he'd see us. If you weren't studying, he'd come in and get on you, man. Go get me some knowledge now. The accumulation of knowledge is a powerful thing. And so is the accumulation of nothing. And that's basically a huge legacy that he left me. Try to outwork the other guy. It gives you a chance. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it gives you a chance.
Can you please subscribe real quick? Can you just press that button? That little button right there, that little red button. Click subscribe. Do it now. And then also turn on your notifications. Okay, back to the show. So from there, Ray Rhodes gets the head coaching job in Philly, and you become a coordinator for the first time. Were you nervous before you spoke to the team? It's your first time, and I'm assuming a lot of those players didn't know a lot about you. You're an assistant coach. I think were you coaching the receivers, right? Because Andy Reid was coaching the tight ends, I think. You had a crazy staff. Mariucci coaching the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I was a wide receiver coach for Green Bay Packers, and that's really why I left with Ray Rhodes. I wanted to coach the quarterbacks. And Mariucci had Brett Favre. He wasn't giving up those keys.
Yeah.
You know, Brett was just coming into his own. He was a superstar. We just got Reggie White. I think the year I went to Philadelphia, Green Bay won the Super Bowl, so I missed out on that unbelievable experience. But, yeah, I was nervous. Heck, I was 31 years old. I think, the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy on South Street in Philadelphia for about a month. You know, it was tough. It was a challenge. Hiring a staff, being a part of hiring a staff, working with Ray, and trying to put the West Coast offense in and try to reach Randall Cunningham, who still today is my greatest, I think, failure as a coach. I was unable to do the things I know now I wish I could have done then.
Why, do you think just because you were young and didn't have the necessary tools to give them the right information? Is that how you see it?
Well, I was so excited about the West Coast offense. I had been in this chamber studying this offense, and I couldn't wait to bring it to Philadelphia. And we did some good things. Ray was coach of the year. We won a playoff game. I think we scored 55 points against the Lions, but we did it with Rodney Peete. And, you know, I wasn't in the shotgun back then. I was never in the shotgun. And if we had known some of the things we know about these RPOs and zone reads, some of the things that we know now, had Randall Cunningham had a chance to do those things then, it would have been an unbelievable quarterback, because that guy had it all.
I think the thing about the West Coast offense is, out of all the offenses I've been in, that one was, I would say, the volume of plays that Mike would throw at us, especially early in camp. It was literally like drinking out of a fire hose, especially the first time you learned it. But after I learned it, I actually thought it was the easiest offense I had ever been in, because the coach literally tells every single person what to do. And the quarterback has the hardest job because the play is so freaking long.
That's no doubt. I used to signal the plays. I can still remember 2 jet Dino Y shallow cross. I would signal the plays to Brett Favre, and that was before we had the quarterback to coach walkie-talkie. Brett had to memorize all the formations. Montana had to memorize everything. I remember going out to walkthroughs on Wednesday after this huge installation and Joe would spit out every play verbatim. He had a photographic memory, but you're right. There's a lot of verbiage. That's why when I came back to coach the second time, I changed the terminology to try to abbreviate it a little bit.
The best asset I had is when Holmgren was in Seattle. Matt Hasselbeck, he brought Matt Hasselbeck over from Green Bay, and Matt was my roommate. And Holmgren's thing was, okay, he would like give you the formation, and Matt had to give him the play, or vice versa. He would switch it. So I would test Matt the night before, and I became so good at everything about that offense. It was amazing. I was like, I would know that when they would call the play, as Matt was saying it, I was literally mouthing it in the huddle, waiting for him to get to my point, like X, Y hook. Okay, thank you, bye, and I would leave. So now at the age of 26, the Oakland Raiders and Al Davis decide to make you the youngest head coach in the NFL. How did that feel when you got that job? Take me back to when it was determined to say, listen, we're going to hire you.
Well, I had interviewed a couple times earlier, not gotten the job. And this time I went out, and the interview lasted for about a week. I mean, I was in a hotel for a week. They were asking me questions about personnel, training camp, scripts. I mean, you name it. Al Davis was in his prime at that time, and he had a fastball that went about 130 miles an hour. He could blow it by you. But it was a great experience. I got to meet a lot of the legendary players. I had a long history in loving the Raiders as a young kid. So it was a really cool opportunity, and I'm blessed to have had that. And Al Davis fast-tracked me. He helped me get to where I am. He had a lot to do with everything that happened to me.
Did he say anything to you right before you went out for your first practice? Any Al Davis words of wisdom?
Don't screw it up, Butch. Don't screw it up.
Yeah, I was literally thinking that. Al Davis, never met him, but he seems like a guy that would just say, hey, man, don't mess this up. And then, all right, go ahead, go do your job.
Unbelievable. If I could sit down with you and tell you some of the things the way he approached the draft, the way he looked at football, the vertical passing game, the running game. He knew punt protection. He walked in and tossed me the chalk. He said, show me the punt protection and teach me the calls. I'm like, what are you talking about? You have to know what you're talking about to sit in a room with Al Davis if you're going to be a coach for the Raiders, a scout for the Raiders, or even be a part of the Raiders. You got to love football. You got to know what the hell you're doing.
Isn't that also how you would gain respect from your team? The most basic thing a coach should have is knowledge of the game.
No doubt. And not just offensive knowledge. Get to know the defense, know what the defensive coordinator is doing. What blitz are we calling? Who's got the C gap? Who's got the quarterback? Who's got contain? What's the call on that punt protection if they overload us on the weak side? What happened on that kickoff return? The rules, personnel. Who's the third corner of the Chargers? How are we attacking them? I mean, it was awesome. And it broadened your perspective on everything. There aren't any guys I don't know today like Al Davis.